This is day 1 of the Learning How to Code challenge. In this challenge, we will be going through this guide on how to become a software engineer. This will not teach you everything that you need to know to be a software engineer, but it should teach you enough to be able to get an entry-level position. This guide is not a substitute for a computer science degree and can act as a supplement for those going for a computer science degree. While you may be able to get a role without a computer science degree from this guide, it will be more challenging than with a computer science degree. The reason being companies are risk adverse and would rather hire people with CS degrees than without CS degrees. It would also rather hire people with experience than without experience. This guide is broken down into sections and time that you should spend on each section. Let's talk about the sections. The first section is to learn basic Java. To learn basic Java, you need to understand the JVM, the JDK, and while you do not need to use an IDE, you can choose to, and I recommend using JetBrains, Intelij Community Edition. The link below will teach you basic Java concepts, or you can just watch the next videos coming in this series. Next, you'll want to learn basic Git. Git is a code versioning system. You should use this to enhance the projects that come later in the series. This should only take about a week to learn the basics, but Git is a very complex system that can take much longer to master. You're going to want to learn basic data structures and algorithms. This should take you about 3 months. You're going to want to focus on memory management and pointers, as well as big O notations, as this will become important in interview questions. I would recommend you put all your code on GitHub for this challenge. This will help you in your interview so you can show the person that's interviewing you stuff that you have worked on. Next, I want you to Leet code for 3 months. LeetCode.com is a website that allows you to test your knowledge of data structures and algorithms. If you are looking just to get a job as a software engineer, I recommend focusing on easy level questions. If you're trying to get into a top company, such as the one I work for, I would say focus on medium and hard level questions. Next, you're going to have to learn Gradle. Gradle is a build tool system for Java. It helps you build applications and handle your dependency management. Next, you're going to want to learn Spring Boot. While Spring Boot can be used more than APIs, I recommend for this assignment you only learn about Spring APIs around HTTP. There are JSON objects, and I want you to pass them back and forth as input-output over HTTP calls. Next, you're going to want to learn basic Docker. And while Docker will take a long time to master, it should only take you about a week to figure out how to containerize your Spring Boot applications. This leads to easier management of applications in a container than on bare hardware, for reasons that we will discuss later in the series. Next, I want you to build an API-only Spring Boot application. You should focus on authentication as well as whatever you want to build. Usually a bookstore is a reference application that is used in these types of guides, so you can either do that or something of your own choosing. Next, I want you to spend 3 months reading books. While you probably won't understand these books at this time, They will help you better understand better coding practices and design patterns. In an interview, hiring managers like to see that you are able to answer questions with design patterns. You are able to refactor your code, and you are able to write clean and well understood code. This will be a large part of the series. Next, I want you to spend 3 months on the front end and UI learning. Currently, the tool system that is most used and most widely wanted is TypeScript for the language and React Native for the framework. TypeScript is an object-oriented typed programming language. It is the language that will be closest to Java on the front end, while React Native allows you to build mobile and web applications in the same framework, which is quite nice. Next, I'm going to want you to build a front-end application that will consume the back-end APIs. Now you will have a UI to show the hiring manager that is interviewing you. Finally, you're going to have to study the interviewing guides. One book that I highly recommend is Cracking the Coding Interview. You must be able to solve at least 2 problems per chapter if you just want to get hired. But if you're looking to be hired by a top company, I recommend solving more than 2 questions per chapter. Next, there's grokking the system design, which will go over system design questions. This is generally only asked by top companies, but also entry-level positions at top companies usually will not ask system design questions. It is still possible. Next, companies may ask object-oriented programming questions in their interviews, and this is definitely very useful to know. This guide is more of a TLDR of what you will learn with an undergraduate thing, or just stuff you need to know for an entry-level job. Have a nice day.